Wake that ass up.
Early in the morning.
The Breakfast Club.
Morning, everybody. It's DJ Envy, Angela Yee, Charlamagne the Guy. We are the Breakfast Club. We got a special guest on the line right now, the author of Open Mic, which is available right now. Mike Hill, ladies and gentlemen.
What's up,
Mike,
y'all? How
what's
y'all
up,
doing
King?
today? What's good?
How's it
King?
going?
How you
Black and
doing,
highly
brother?
favored.
Yes. Hey, Yee, I see you. Thank you for representing, man. Appreciate that.
What's up, Mike, man? I'm, reading this book. I'm like, you really come a long way.
I have. I had to, people are going to look at a lot of the transgressions that I had in my life, but hopefully they look at the transformation, the things I went through in my life, seeing domestic violence growing up, finding out that my stepfather was a contracted killer, going through my marriages and all the stuff that I went through when I was at ESPN, Fox Sports, that led me to actually where I am right now when it comes to being involved with the lady I'm with right now. So it's been a journey, but I'm happy I took that journey.
Now,
Mike,
you grew up in the Bronx and Alabama, correct?
Yeah, I was born in the Bronx. I'm always going to be a New York dude, but Alabama is where my roots are. That's where my formative years of my life. So I call myself a kind of a country boy, kind of like Charlamagne and Monk's Corner down in South Carolina.
Yes, sir.
Kind of the same kind of background and whatnot. But it was kind of crazy for me because people think you grew up in the Bronx, that's where you're going to find a lot of trouble, whatnot. But I found more trouble when I was in Alabama because you got to understand, when I grew up down there, it was the start of the crack era. And so a lot of the country boys down there was doing a lot of crazy stuff. And a lot of my friends got caught up in a lot of the drugs and whatnot. One of my best friends got killed in the drive-by shooting. One of my other friends was, armed robbery, spent 27 years of his life in prison and all that type of stuff. So a lot of the things that they grew up with, I grew up with. I just had some of the better decisions. I had some people in my life that kind of could put me on the right track, or I could have been doing the same thing that they're doing right now, or what they were doing.
Right.
Mike, you did something that I did, and I think all men eventually have to be intentional about doing. You went and you started doing the work on yourself to get some healing and some wholeness. When were you able to identify that you had traumas you needed to deal with and that you needed to go get help?
What's crazy is it wasn't until I actually started writing this book. This book was my therapy. I didn't even realize that I had so many traumas and pains and anger and depression that was built up inside me until I started writing this book. Then it became my therapy. I just know that at the age of 47, when I started writing this book, that I seemed on the outside that I was happy. I was living a great life. My job was wonderful. I was telling everybody I was happy, the happiest I had ever been in my life, professionally and personally. But I would find myself at home just crying uncontrollably for no reason whatsoever. I'd be on the road with the Clippers when I was working with them, and I would just have, just tears just coming out of my eyes for whatever reason. And something told me I needed to write this book. So when I started writing this book, it felt like I was regurgitating. It just felt like everything started coming out of me at once. And I realized that I had all this stuff, all this trauma and all this pain that I had suppressed for so many years. And I think that's what we do as Black men. We suppress the anger and all that depression and all that pain, and I had to let it go. And when I finally was able to let it go, I always call that like my surgery. And when I had the surgery, of course, you know how it is. I got to be rehabilitation after the surgery. And that was when my therapy came in. So I realized that, for 47 years, I was a boy acting like a man. And it wasn't until I actually wrote this book that I stepped into my manhood. And now I'm still kind of continuing that journey.
Yeah, it's interesting when you put everything together all at once, because obviously, as long as you've been on this earth, we're reading this book and then we're going through all these experiences that you went through. You joined the military, which that was something about you I didn't even know, prior to meeting you. And that's quite an experience already. And then you got married at a pretty young age, and it was kind of for selfish reasons.
Yeah.
Right.
Everything was for selfish reasons for me growing up. I didn't know. I didn't have any male role models in my life. I didn't know how to live my life. I just had to kind of go day by day, seeing other people doing what they were doing. And I figured, like, if they could do it, I could do it. Somebody my age or whatnot. Went into the military. Was something that was needed because I knew if I would have gone to college, I wouldn't have been ready. I'd have been just like a lot of people in my neighborhood or whatnot in my hometown. They would have gone for a year, tried the pledge or whatever, and come right back home and gotten some part-time job and just, walk the streets or whatnot. So going into the military, seeing the only role models I actually had my cousins when they were in the military, seeing that they had a brand new car. I figured, shit, I can get me a car too. You know what I mean? So that was one of the reasons I went in. And then getting married at an early age because I saw one of my best friends in the military who was married with a kid and he was making more money. So all the other stuff that I went through, it was because I saw other people doing or whatnot, and I didn't have the right people in my life basically kind of guiding me along the way, giving me that guidance that I need. And that's why I wanted to put this out there, because if you can find yourself a positive male role model or just a positive role model, period, somebody that can take you under their wings and whatnot to give you the direction, to give you some of the advice that I never received when I was younger, I hope that you can understand and look at my life and say, you know what, he made some of the mistakes that I'm still making right now. And I can go and get the help and the therapy, as Charlamagne was talking about, that I need so that you can turn your life around at an earlier age and stop affecting your life. Because when you affect your life, you also affect the others around you too. And that's what people don't realize, is that you're not only hurting yourself, but you're hurting a lot of the other people that are living with you. Yep.
Now earlier, did you say your dad was a contractor? Your stepdad was a contractor killer?
Yeah. I found that.
How did you find that out?
Yeah, I found that out when I came back from the military. I was just hanging out with him. I knew he had done some things in the past, whatnot. Obviously, when I was in the military, there was a story I wrote about when I got a call when I was in the Philippines, and he had killed somebody, and they came and raided the house, whatever. I'm halfway around the world, and I can't do anything about it, whatnot. He got off on that because of self-defense, so they say. But everybody kind of know what the real story was, to be honest with you. And then when I got home, he was kind of at his lowest point. And my mom had left him, and I'm sitting on the porch with him, basically trying to save this man. And I'm talking to him, and he's telling me all the things that he had done. And he just basically kind of confessed it, and then followed up talking to a lot of his friends or whatever. I found out all that type of stuff was true. But, you know, even my dad, my stepdad, I don't want to kind of come down on him or whatever. He was a loving man, cared about me. He took me. I got his last name because he adopted me when I was 15 years old, and he loved me. He just had issues. So this is the main thing that I want to get people to understand about this book, is that we as Black men need help, and we can't be afraid to ask for that help. You know, it's okay to be emotional. It's okay to cry. It's okay to say, you know what, my life right now ain't shit. It ain't going the way it's supposed to go. So I need somebody to reach out to and understand, and somebody to reach back to me to give me the help that I needed. So I wish that my father would have gotten the help that he needed at an earlier age. Somebody would have pulled him in and basically told him, you know what, the path you're going down right now isn't going to lead you anywhere. It's going to lead you to devastation, destruction. You're going to hurt a lot of people around you, just like he did. And maybe he would have worked out okay, but unfortunately it didn't, because he spent the last 9 years of his life in prison for murder for hire, and you'll see why. And it was a terrible story why he did that too as well.
Did you receive any backlash from anybody when you decided to go to therapy? Because, you know, if you go on YouTube right now, all you see is, oh, Charlamagne talked about his mental health and going to therapy. Everything isn't about therapy.
You know, I don't care. You know, I mean, it's my life, you know, and yeah, I understand, Charlamagne. And I got to be honest with you, reading your book actually helped me out a lot too, because when I see you use your platform and basically admit that you had some mental health issues or whatnot, and that you weren't afraid to go and get the help that you needed, that was huge to use your platform that way. And I encourage anybody with a platform, I don't care if you got 10 followers, or you got 10 million followers. If you know you need some kind of help in any kind of way, please ask for it. So the people that do come out and basically say, you know, oh, you emotional, you crying, you know, calling you little names, whatever I want to call you, whatever. I don't care. I'm at a point in my life where my mind, my life, and the people around me matter more than anything in the world. So if you don't want to get the help that you need and you want to kind of dog me out for it, I pray for you. And I pray that you get the help, because I think when you do things like that, when you troll or you try and throw some kind of hate or disparaging remarks at somebody that's trying to get mental health, those are the main ones that actually need it. So I'm here to help you out. I'm here to make you a better person. So all I can do is use my platform and use whatever notoriety I have to basically set myself as an example, and hopefully somebody can follow suit.
Now, Mike, I got to ask you a couple of questions, because you were very transparent about some things in this book. Okay, so, and I know that wasn't easy, because there's some stories that you told that I'm like, wow. So there's something in here that you said, because you said when somebody asked you during a Q&A, maybe you'll answer that question. So let's ask you that question right now. There was an incident with your ex-wife, Camille, where you stayed out all night. She was trying to call you, and you told her you were in the hospital. You know how men lie. Either they're in the hospital or they got arrested. That's how they excuse things. And she couldn't reach you. You actually, because you told her that, you actually checked into the hospital and pretended to have an asthma attack, and then you faxed her some proof over, but you had to change the time and everything that you checked in. Now you said, I bet you want to know where I really was. Maybe I'll answer this as part of a Q&A after the book comes out if someone brings it up, but we're bringing it up here. Where were you that night when you told your ex that you were in the hospital?
You're supposed to be my girl, man. I've been knowing you the longest, so that's okay. I get it. I'm glad you read that part. You know, and this was before we were actually married, so I was actually still technically single. Right. But you know, I was. But
in a relationship.
I was across the street, hanging out with somebody I shouldn't have been hanging out with or whatnot. And when I got back home, my phone was ringing off the hook. My ex was like a detective. She was one of those women, like if you were missing for like 5 minutes, she was going to call you or whatever. And when I got back home, I had like 12 missed calls and 13 messages, to be quite honest with you. So I was doing dirt. I was doing a lot. But because I liked her enough and we had gotten that deep into the relationship, I went to the extent of acting like I was sick, which once again, I am not proud of. Acting like I was sick, acting like I was in the hospital, like I had just gone to the hospital or whatever, and I had to go to the emergency room, and she said, prove it. So I actually had to go to the hospital.
That's how you know you really care. Is that effective when a woman is on you like that, when you know that you had a tendency, previously to stray, right? Does that work when women are constantly on you and like having you check in? You think that's an effective way?
Nah, it not for me. It because the person I'm with right now, and like I've gotten past all that stuff that I used to do in my life. I've finally settled down. Yes, Cynthia, and I finally settled down, and I want to do it the right way. Like I said, I stepped into my manhood. But for me, when I want to do right, and when I've told you about my past, like obviously everybody knows about my past, and I just want you to give me an opportunity. I don't need you on top of me all the time, basically telling me, or asking where I am and whatnot, checking my DMs or checking my phone and things like that. I think for me, for my personality, I think that pushes me away. I can understand why somebody would do it, but if you say you trust me, you know what I mean? Give me an opportunity to prove that I'm doing something wrong. Now, if you give you a reason for you not to trust me, then I understand being on probation or being checked up on. But, I need a wife. I need somebody that's going to be with me. I don't need a CO. I don't need a correctional officer. I don't need that. And I definitely don't need a parole officer because you know what? I've never gone to your prison. You know what I mean? So I'm coming out. I'm not on probation for you. We're supposed to be in a relationship. Just trust me like you say you are.
I'm not gonna lie. I think I kind of need a CEO, just a little bit. You know what I'm saying? I just need a little bit of direction. That's all. That's it. Nothing crazy.
Well, if you know that, but that's okay. If you know that, that's cool. And understand. If you got a woman that's doesn't mind checking up on you and you don't mind showing her where you've been, that's fine. But here's the thing: what I've learned also is that it is also our jobs to make sure that they are secure. So if I am missing for 5 to 10 minutes or whatnot, I am the type of person that, let me get on the phone. If I'm hanging out with, there's a woman with me, I'm going to FaceTime my girl and let her know who I'm hanging out with, how many people I'm hanging out with, and I don't leave out details. That's the growth that I've had over the years. Now, like I said, I was doing my dirt back in the day, the infidelities or whatever. I admit all that. That's just, me growing up. But at the same time, I've come a long way, and now I want to make my girl secure as possible.
As a woman, we don't want to feel that way. We don't want to feel like I gotta make sure he checks in. Where is he? I don't want to call my man and be like, okay, he's not answering the phone. He must be doing something. I want to call him, and if he doesn't answer, be like, hey, hit me when you get this, and feel comfortable.
Yeah, but at the same time, if I'm at work, if I tell you I'm on an interview and I don't answer the phone right away because I'm on the air, I'm doing television, I'm doing a radio show, and you kind of know that, and you blowing me up, and you blow me up 5 or 6 times, and I finally answer, and the first thing you say, "Where the F you been?" What that's gonna make you kind of react a certain way because you know what? I'm doing my job. I'm not doing somebody else. So you got to give me a little bit of leeway. That's all.
Men, we don't even know our habits, man. I remember back in the day when I used to have my dick in the dirt. My wife would always say to me, when I know you're messing around with a woman is women that I don't know. Meaning like all my female friends, she knows. So if she's never met her, I've never introduced her to introduce her to the person. Yeah.
Yeah, but see, I think that's important. So I got a lot of female friends. The majority of my friends are females. I just always gotten along better with females. Doesn't mean that I'm out there, D'ing them down or whatnot. It just means that we got a lot of platonic friends, whatever. They look at me like an uncle. They look at me like a big brother. I give them advice a lot of times. But one thing that's for sure, if I got a female friend, my fiance Cynthia has that female friend as well. If I'm hanging out with them, she knows I'm hanging out with them. So once again, that comes with part of just making your girl feel secure, especially if you have that past, because you want to make sure that you build up that trust and whatnot. And a lot of times some people do it, and I'm gonna be honest with you, some people do it because they want to, they might have somebody still doing dirt or whatever. But I'm at a point in my life, like I said, I've done all that stuff, man. I don't judge me for the transgressions. Look at me for my transformation and where I am right now. And I'm at a place in my life where I don't want to do that, man. I had a lot of fun. I did all that type of stuff. I used to hang out in New York. I remember one time I was in New York and lied about, popping bottles. I think he was even there with us one night when we was at Justin's with old Justin, football or whatnot, and coming back home and telling my wife something that wasn't true or whatnot. But at the same time, I've grown up and I realized all the mistakes I made in the past. I want to leave those in the past because I want to have a bright future with somebody I can grow with.
Your fiance said you probably never would have proposed and she wouldn't have said yes if you didn't get the help you needed. So what traumas do you think were holding you back from being the man you are now?
Yeah, I didn't trust anybody. I mean, there was something that happened to me, and you read the book, there was something that happened to me when I was 15 years old with a young lady. And a lot of people's like, man, you held on to that for 30 years. Yes, Charlamagne, you understand. We as men sometimes hold on to traumas for a long period of time. And because of when
you told her you loved her and she didn't say it back,
Yeah, I mean, that was it. I mean, like, she didn't, not only did she not say it back, she looked at me like I was freaking crazy. You know what I mean? And that hurt me.
Right, and then
that was
someone else.
The first time I told a woman that I loved her, and she tells me, she looks at me and like, let's go. And then 2 days later, she's with somebody else who happened to actually be a friend of mine or whatnot. And I didn't even realize we had broken up. I felt that hurt. I felt that pain. And I didn't want to feel that again. So for a long time, I could not trust women. And after a while, I couldn't trust myself. So until I started loving myself, I could never fall in love with another woman. I could love somebody. I love the women that I married before, the mother of my children. Don't get me wrong. But there's a difference in loving somebody and falling in love. I could never completely fall in love because I couldn't trust them. But more importantly, I couldn't trust myself until I actually wrote this book.
Wow. Mike, I'm sorry if I'm giving away some spoilers also, but I just want to, there's a lot to this book. So I do want to, give away little bits and pieces, but I think that is important. She's 15 years old. I love you. And she
looked at me like, I farted in her mouth, to be honest with you.
During that time, when you said I love you and she didn't say it back, was there anybody to say that, you know what, because we don't have these conversations. We're just starting to have these conversations now, but was there anybody that you could speak with?
You just talked to her like saying she looked at me like she farted in my mouth.
Yeah, she looked at me like I farted in her mouth. Like she looked at me.
That's all Charlamagne heard. He was
I heard everything. I was like, how you talk over that? Like what?
I didn't hear
that was a reaction. You know what I mean? So when you see that reaction, just imagine the first time you pure, and the way I described it, man, I felt like I was in a moment like Luther. I don't even know who was playing in the background. Like, this was like something out of a love story. I'm like, you know what? Looking at her, she's beautiful. She's 2 years older. She's a senior. I'm a sophomore. I'm like, I love you. I did it just like that, real smooth. That's in my mind. Now, I don't know how I really said it.
Moment right there. There you go.
You know what I mean? That's the way I said it. I really said it real smooth. She looked at me like, and then she said, let's go. And we walk out, man. And then 2 days later, she was somebody else, man. I don't even realize that we had broken up or whatever. So I remember that hurt, that pain or whatever. So like you said, there was nobody for me to talk to. There was nobody I could go to. My biological father wasn't around. My stepfather, I couldn't talk to him about loving anybody because I never saw him love my mom. I never saw love in a household. So there was nobody I could talk. My brother was dealing with his own stuff or whatever. So I didn't have anybody that was a positive male role model that I could actually talk to about that. And if I talked to them, they would say things like, F them hoes. Seriously. Man, you ain't supposed to love them anyway. That's exactly the type of attitude I got.
Mike, I swear I was about to say that to you because what's interesting about that is she broke your heart. And when the other options are bitches ain't shit but hoes and tricks, money over bitches, fuck them hoes, when the option is disrespect, you adopt that.
Yeah, exactly. That's what you see growing up as a kid, man. And so that's why, once again, I wanted the people to see my pain and see the things that I've gone through in my life. And a lot of things, like Angela just said, some embarrassing moments that, you know, it's hard for me to talk about or whatever at the same time. But I wanted to put that out there because if you can heal from my pain, then that's my journey. Then that's what I'm supposed to be doing on this earth. That's my purpose in life, whatnot. And a lot of people even told me not to put this book out there because it could hurt my career, because there are things that Angela read that, you know, like I could have been part of the whole Me Too movement, man. I could have been charged with rape at one time, all that type of stuff.
Thank God it didn't happen that way.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, because somebody else made the right decision, and then later in life, he didn't make the right decision. God. So all that type of stuff, I probably should not be here right now, to be quite honest with you, if you read all the stuff that's in the book, because people have this
honesty
image.
And listen, even about your career, but one more tease I want to give, and I'm not going to give this story because I want to make sure everybody reads this book, but you're going to love this, Charlamagne. There was even an incident that you talk about where you got hit on the face or in the head with a penis.
Yeah. Charlamagne, I love that. Did that happen to you too, Charlamagne? But explain, Mike, go ahead.
So this is when I was starting my broadcasting career, and I was an intern, and we was in a tight locker room. I was holding a microphone, talking to somebody while I was on my knees because the locker room was real tight. And when I turned around, let's just say I turned around and another microphone hit me on my forehead right there, because you know the players were so close to each other. And the guy said, "Oh, I'm sorry, excuse me." You know what I mean? So, but you know, yeah, that was a really, thank you, Angela. I appreciate that. That was
probably would have left it, yeah.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, but that was important. That was important for me to say too, because that was part of my broadcasting career. That was like my introduction. I was about to quit after that, to be quite honest.
You won't be the first person to start a broadcasting career because they got a dick on their head.
So what do you say after he says I'm sorry? What do you say? All right, you get
you know this. Well, he was a superstar in the NBA. All I can do is like, well, damn. At least it was his. You know what I mean? So,
all right, whose dick we talking about, Mike? Whose dick are we talking about, Mike?
I'm pretty sure his has been, you know, a lot of faces been slapped by that penis. I'm just saying.
Does it matter if it's a superstar or a scrub? If it's a scrub, would you get an MVP?
Is it a Hall of Fame?
He's a Hall of Famer. I'll just leave it at that. Yeah, he's in the Hall of Fame. Yeah.
But you know, Mike, what you're doing with your book is great, man, because we have to create space for each other to discuss our brokenness and discuss our traumas without being canceled. You know, yes, if you was a hurt person, you probably hurt people. And, you know, we got to create safe spaces to have these conversations. We have to give each other the grace we want God to give us.
Yeah, and I appreciate you guys giving me the platform to be able to talk about that, because like you said, Charlamagne, I appreciate you using your platform to basically get that word out that we can't be ashamed. We got to stop manning up. If we continue to man up, sooner or later it's going to be man down. I mean 6 feet down, because I keep telling people, had I not written this book, I would be dead right now, because I had so much that was on the inside of me that I didn't realize was there. I had to basically dig it out of me so I could replace it with goodness and some satisfaction and happiness and get the help that I needed. Once again, that was my surgery, writing the book. My rehabilitation is my therapy. So using your platform and basically getting the word out is something that's going to be huge for us as Black men and as a people in this country. Think about this. As Black people, every single person in this country has had to deal with some kind of trauma. We're dealing with trauma right now. Basically, when you're afraid to get in your car and get stopped by the police, that's trauma. That's pain. Mm-hmm. You know what? Dealing with what you go through at work and all the racism that's there. That's a lot of trauma. Dealing with just everyday life. That's trauma. You don't realize the trauma that you have until you go and you write it out, talk to somebody, and get it off your chest freely. Feel free to talk about that type of stuff and not be ashamed of it, because being a man is admitting that you have problems and you need help with those problems. And that's what I'm here for, man. That's what I'm going to try and do. I'm going to keep on using my platform for that regard.
Another takeaway from this book is a lot of people see you as a successful Mike Hill now. You know, obviously you have your Mike and Donnie show on Fox Soul as well, and you are Fox Sports 1 and everything that you've done and accomplished, but they don't know how long it took for you to get there, and all the trials and tribulations that you had to have, even getting fired, having to dumb yourself down to be on a network and not show your real personality, feeling betrayal, all of those things at work, and how hard it is to just keep going when things aren't working out. And I think that's a really huge, valuable takeaway for people. It's not an overnight thing.
Yeah, I appreciate you saying that, because part of the book is about my professional growth and my development and the things, like you said, that I had to go through, and having to basically, I lost myself. I mean, to get a dream job at ESPN and then basically be told, you know, at one time that I was being too ghetto, you know, and one of the reasons why I wasn't moving up is being too ghetto. And you know, I was talking about Envy the other day when Envy came out, and he was talking about what somebody at a network basically told him, that he wasn't black enough. So I've been that guy that in a lot of places that I've been too black for some people. I've been too ghetto, so to speak, for some people. And I've been too white for other people. I've been corny or whatnot. So I'm kind of in between, and it's kind of hard. So once you realize who you are and you step into who you are and you don't care what other people think, it's so liberating. So in my professional career, now I've gotten to a point where, you know what, this is me. If you like it, you like it. If you don't, then so be it. But you're not going to love, you're not going to be appreciated by everybody else. But going through what I went through in my life, being fired, like you said, for whatever reasons I got fired, and you'll see it in the book or whatever, the ups and downs at ESPN, and then losing my personality and losing who I was, can't look myself in the mirror and realize that I lost who Mike Hill was. I mean, that was tough, and I finally got that back. So you'll see the transgressions and the transformation that I had with my professional career as well.
Absolutely. Well, appreciate you, brother, for checking in, man. We really do.
Absolutely.
Definitely show them the bookie.
Over Mike, and by the way, Mike Hill will be doing Angela Yee's book club, the Well-Read Book Club. So I appreciate you for that. We'll be announcing that date shortly. And is the wedding, what's happening with your wedding?
Yeah, we're doing still October 10th, 10/10/20.
Still
so
October 10th.
You know, we're taking our COVID precautions, giving everybody masks and face shields, and making sure that everybody wears it. So the beautiful Cynthia Bailey, and I'm looking forward to that. Real quick, can I want to explain the book cover, because I think that's also part of the stuff that we have out there. Toxic masculinity. A lot of people have given me hell about the book cover or whatever, why you naked on the book cover or whatever, but there is some symbolism behind that whole situation, because I wanted to tell my naked truth. I think the most vulnerable that you can be is basically being somebody that is naked and putting yourself out there or whatnot. So you see me in black and white because I'm stepping out of my shadows into my light. My head is down because I'm humbled. I'm ashamed of some of the things that I've gone through in my life. You see the ropes around me. That's basically my bondage, the things that have kind of kept me shackled, some of the traumas that I've gone through or whatnot. So that is the front of the book cover. On the back of the cover, you see it's a little bit lighter. Yeah, you see me with my head up, my eyes are focused on the future or whatever. And I got a lady now that's in the final chapters of my life that got my back, and she got her arms wrapped around me like the hand of God. And she's always giving me the advice that I need. So it's a lot of symbolism in that book. And I think we got to stop doing this also as black men. And I love Charlamagne doing this, man. Look, we can stay, we love each other. We ain't got to, you know, it's a lot of toxic masculinity that we put out in society too. And I understand that. Be a man, don't get me wrong. But at the same time, we also got to be able to tell my brother Charlamagne, my brother Envy, I love you, my brothers, and I appreciate you. And, you know, I'm always going to be there for you and always have your back. And of course, G, I'm always going to uplift my sister. So I love you, my sister, and everything that you've done. I've seen you grow and rise and do their things that you've done. So I appreciate you guys.
Well, thank you so much,
I love you too, King. Hold, I got one more question though, because I know you've been doing the work on yourself. So your ego isn't as fragile as it used to be. But when you saw the headline a couple weeks ago that your fiance said she's been having horrible quarantine sex with you, how did that hit for you?
You know, it didn't affect me whatsoever, because I know what I'm doing in the bedroom, bro. So I know it was clickbait. I know I'm putting it down, dog. I mean, look, hey, bro, the reviews are okay, to be quite honest with you. So, like, you know how clickbait is, and if you read the article,
yeah, that's not what she was saying.
She was talking about more the circumstance, the environment.
Yeah, because our kids were in the house, so man, she couldn't get her scream on, man. My girl like to, you know, get that yell on, bro. You know, hey, I'm 50, but I'm still hitting the right spots, bro.
From the beginning of this book, when you were hunching and releasing just from that. So congrats on that.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Thank you.
All right, bro. Well, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Charlamagne. See y'all later.
Mike Hill is the Breakfast Club. Good morning.